Yeah, empty bottles of red wine laying on the floor from last night. We got a little drunk.
So in this video, I'm going to show you how I did this dresser right here.
Spending hours by your bedside, talking till it's dark outside.
This dresser belonged to my grandparents. They were married in 1947.
Bye. Maybe we should take it slow.
Three fun tools I am going to show you how to use today. I've had this dresser for about 20 years. I rescued it from my grandma's basement. I'm using Debi's Design Diary DIY paint in the color Sandy Blonde as my base coat. I'm painting in all different directions to create some texture. So my grandma's name is Ruth. She is still living and she is 95 years old. My grandma had 4 boys and she wanted a girl so badly. Not that she didn't love her boys, but she wanted a girl. And I am her first grandchild and I was a girl. So my grandma and I are kind of a little bit like this.
So I'm staying for the night, but then I gotta say goodbye, bye. Maybe we should take it.
We're gonna use this. It is a wood block, so it's a block of wood with a handle.
Something new right now. I don't really know anymore how to feel something again. Think I'm just scared of falling. Don't wanna go all in.
I'm using the wood block to smoosh the paint around, creating even more texture and a nice, irregular, kind of chippy appearance. This is called a color shaper. It's like a squeegee. It's rubber. So when I was thinking about how I wanted to paint the dresser, what colors reminded me of my grandma, I thought about the color pink because she liked to wear pink. Sometimes her bathroom in her house was pink, and she always wore pink nail polish and pink lipstick, and so I thought pink would be perfect.
Your friend, think I'm just scared of falling. Don't wanna go all in.
I want this coat to be relatively thin, so I'm using water from my mister bottle and my squeegee to really thin that paint out. The squeegee also helps to create even more texture.
I look into your eyes, I see we're out of time. I guess no one's to blame, nobody crossed the line. I guess we couldn't see.
I'm not really sure why I added the purple other than it just worked really well with the piece itself, and I just kind of liked it, and so that's kind of what I ended up with.
But I remember.
I continue to use my water bottle and my color shaper to really move that paint around. The nice thing about DIY paint is that it is heavily pigmented, so a little bit of paint goes a long way. And this is my super secret go-to things for blending, and I use it all the time when I'm blending colors together. I use a gentle tapping motion to move the paint around, picking up paint in some places and depositing it in others.
Goodbyes, thank God we're civilized. Beyond our separate ways as we fade into gray. But I still miss the way you used to feel. Maybe we rose too fast, maybe we got too high. Yeah.
So the important thing here is to use just a little bit of paint. You just need a teeny tiny little bit of paint. And then I use my brush and water to move that little bit of paint around, thinning it out and making it a little bit transparent.
That it's ended, nothing to say, 'cause guess we've said it all. Now
So I also use my water to help direct that paint where I want it to go, spraying the water where I want to move that paint to. That really helps move that color around.
and why do we care to dream? We gotta believe.
You'll notice I'm also moving my brush in all different directions with a very light touch, and that's really to get that color to blend smoothly.
These are my grandparents. That's my grandpa right there. That's my grandma right there. And that little baby's me.
Using some 220 grit sandpaper, I give my piece an all-over sand so that it feels really nice. And then I sealed the drawer fronts with a quick coat of Big Top before applying my transfer.
I look into your eyes, I see we're out of time.
Leaving the back of the transfer on, I do a dry fit so I know exactly where I want my transfer to go. So there's this little bit at the bottom of the transfer where the design doesn't go all the way to the edge, and I'm just really picky and I don't like my transfer to feel like it is floating. I want the design to butt up against the edge of that bottom drawer, so I'm just going to cut off that last little bit.
So they met in Queens. My grandma is born and raised in Queens, New York. She was one of, I think 11 or 12 in her family. My grandpa's actually from Germany. His parents, my Oma and my Opa, they left Germany and left my grandpa behind. So he, for a couple years, was being raised by his grandma in Germany, while my great-grandparents came over to find jobs and a place to live, and then they sent for him when he was a teenager. So he came over from Germany as a teenager and lived in Queens, and that's where they met. So cute.
And a pretty call, I don't storm in the storm. If not me, then someone like me that knows what to do.
There's my grandma, right there. Look how pretty she is. She's fancy. My grandma was always fancy. Her hair was always done. Her nails were always polished, and they were usually pink and like pearly pink. She liked pearly pink nail polish.
Every dream, angel goddess, you cover them all. Say, what can I do to get you to fall?
She's what you think of as your typical grandma. She always baked. She always sewed. She used to sew dresses for me and clothes for me when I was little.
When I'm working with a large transfer, I find it really helpful to cut off the extra piece that I'm already finished with. When I'm working with large-scale transfers, such as this one, and I'm using it all in one big piece, slow and steady wins the race every time.
That disturbs you.
And in her pocketbook, where there was always a hanky, there was always certs or lifesavers or Tic Tacs.
I use a razor blade to separate the transfer where the drawers come together. I am doing what is called burnishing the transfer. It is an important step not to be skipped, as it ensures that your transfer has no air bubbles and is properly adhered.
I was super lucky that I grew up about 10 minutes from my grandparents. They were there for everything. Every dance recital and school performance they came to. They even drove from New York to Indiana for my college graduation.
Most of all,
brush, I applied clear wax over the entire piece, including over the transfer. Let it dry overnight, and then buffed it with a soft cloth the next day for a nice, gentle shine.
That he deserves you.
Empty bottles of red wine laying on the floor from last night. We got a little drunk, yeah. Now I'm a little numb. Spending hours by your bedside.
If this was at all helpful to you, or if you enjoyed watching this video, please hit the subscribe button down below. I will be forever grateful for that. That's it. Thank you. Bye. See you next time.
I don't feel too comfortable jumping into something new right now.